All right, had to send in. Bam, we're live. Just a guest appearance on Bam, we're live. Okay, you guys ready? Akira the Dawn. Where is it? You're Caleb. You're C Beaver. You're not Akira the Dawn. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Caleb, are you familiar with QuickTime?
I can't say that I am.
You should be able to go in there and put export as and transform it to a MP4.
Yeah.
But for some reason, mine doesn't have that. I wonder what's going on. I wanted to play this video that I ripped off of YouTube. Let me see if I can play it here real quick. But I wanted to upload it into that brand folder on StreamYard.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, this is all I got right here. Like, this is the best I could do. Akira. He's gonna go. I'd first ask the kid, who are you? At the core of your soul. And if he can't answer that question, our conversation's over. I can't say shit to him. If you don't know who you are, if you don't know who you are, I can't tell you who you are. Who are you? If you don't know who you are, if you don't know who you are, I can't tell you who you are. Who are you? Honestly, Bam, Akira the Dawn. Have you ever seen any of his stuff?
I just scrolling through it in the past couple of days. I've never seen it myself, but I like it.
Yeah, it's pretty damn cool. It's pretty damn cool. It's moving. The Jordan Peterson stuff's out of this world.
Yeah, it's an interesting, like, I guess, mashup, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, I wonder if he would take offense to that. Oh, trying to get in. Oh, here we go. He says he's trying to get in. Trying to get in. StreamYard's hanging currently. Hanging.
I wonder if he's on his phone, he can't use it on Google Chrome. He'll have to do it on Safari.
Oh, really? Okay, I'll tell him.
That's if he's on his phone, though.
Let me see this. On your phone, you need Safari. On computer.
There he is.
My bad.
What?
I just didn't get the message off to Akira in time. Dude, you're faster than I am. Good morning, Mr. Dawn. Good morning.
Buen día, hermana. ¿Cómo está?
Muy bien.
Oh. Good. How's levels and everything? Is this loud enough?
Sexy.
Nice.
The only way we do it. I wonder if I can share this over here. Start the show like this. It's one of our friends. Darn it. One of our friends sent me something, Akira. It's their hot sauce. They're stickers of hot sauce.
Oh yeah.
Let me see. Are those yours? You made those?
No, I don't make hot sauce yet. I mean, it's on the bucket list.
I mean these stickers. I probably shouldn't be showing my email, but have you seen that?
No, I haven't even seen this as stickers. Someone in the community made one of those as as a picture.
Yeah,
I remember seeing that as a picture. I did not know that existed as stickers. That's wonderful. Well, it's nice to be alive.
Yes. We started the show with your release that you did last night. Just so you know, we played 50 seconds of it with Goggins and who's the other gentleman, the white dude?
Oh, that's Tom Bilyeu. He doesn't speak on the track, but he facilitated the conversation. He facilitates a lot of conversations. You know, he's one of those conversation facilitators that are so prevalent in the modern world.
I understand. They vary.
He's good. He got some of the best stuff out of Goggins I ever heard.
Is he from your part of the world? Is he a British dude?
Nah, he's an American dude. He does a show called Impact Theory. It's the whole like What impact? I think his question and his kind of thing is, what impact do you want to have on the world, or some shit? Is like how it's underlined. But he's big on
Yeah, what
NFTs right
like
now.
like like what influenced you more, the Twin Towers or Uncle Buck sneaking into your room when you're 7? Like two different kind of impacts, but both could be like just
What
change
kind of
your
impact do you want to
Yes.
have on the world? Whatever. Now, one of those is easier to pull off than the other. You know what I mean? So respect where respect is due.
Do you know? Are you in LA still?
No, man, I haven't been in LA for a long time. I'm in Mexico.
No shit.
Yeah.
Well, damn, I haven't been doing my research good then. When did you go to Mexico?
I've been in Mexico since last May, but I left LA like 2 months after all the bullshit kicked off in 2020 because I could see which way the wind was blowing, and I went to Texas, which we'd been thinking about doing for a while anyway.
Uh-huh.
So I was in Texas for a year, and then the U.S. government immigration system conspired to have me move to Mexico.
Because those are kind of your choices, Mexico or go back to the UK?
No, I had a new visa approved. I had a new O1 Alien of Extraordinary Ability visa approved. But because of Tom Hanks and the Communist Chinese and all their skullduggery, you have to, like, once you get it approved, you have to go out the country, go to an embassy, get it stamped, come back in again, right? Normally that's like a week, or takes a week or something, right? But due to the machinations of Tom Hanks and all those weirdos, there's like massive wait lists. Like it was like 6 months to a year to get an embassy appointment. But they're like, right, you have to get out the country now, like right now, this week type thing, and go find yourself an appointment somewhere. Maybe you can get one in Russia or Mexico or whatever the fuck. And I thought, well, I always want to go to Mexico. It's very beautiful. The weather is good. Let me go to Mexico. So I went to Mexico. And then we couldn't get an appointment until this was like a year ago, and there was no appointments till 2022.
This is nuts. It's fascinating to me. I want to hear more about Tom Hanks in a second, but it's fascinating to me that someone like you, who's jumping through all the proper hoops, has to wait a year. And yet, if you would have handled your shit, and you're not being rewarded at all, but there's people who are doing it illegally, and
everyone's
they
just
can
like
come and go as they please.
Yeah, everyone's like, just go to the border and, like, you know, do what those people do. It's hilarious. It's so hilarious. I've ended up going the other way and go to Mexico. And it's very nice there. It's actually delightful. And like now, the problem is now I got an appointment, but now they don't let you in the US if you are unvaccinated. Like,
really?
So all that kind of shit going on now. Yeah. People don't even realize that you're actually not allowed to go to the United States of America if you're unvaccinated. It's a thing.
God, it's so crazy. You think they're ever going to lift that?
What's that? It's funny. I wonder about all this stuff, right? Because certain things are moving in certain countries, but that seems to be out of necessity. The UK dropped their stuff because they were having a massive scandal, and had they not, they would have been dragged out onto the streets and kicked and beaten. So they said, hey, we beat Tom Hanks disease. And everyone goes, oh, heroes, and forgets that the British government was having massive sexy parties while everyone else was confined to their houses like little prisoner slaves. You know what I mean? So it depends on what's beneficial for the government, what they relinquish, it would seem. Bear in mind, September 11th was a long fucking time ago, and we still got to take our shoes off at the airport.
Right.
You know what I mean? Certain things do not get turned back around. Other things do. So it's pretty much down to what people put up with. The amount of tyranny you get is exactly the amount you accept, right?
Before we go any further, in case we get lost in the show, which could be very easily, could be a fun way of holding hands with Mr. Don and running into the maze and getting lost. I want to tell you need to go to this gentleman's YouTube account. You can also see him on Spotify. I don't spend time on Spotify, but I would go to his YouTube account and I would start digging through. You could start at the top, hit videos, and go back in order. You can go back to his early days. He is a creative powerhouse. He is oozing with creativity. It's like pretty obvious. And then make sure you go over to his wiki page also and check out the history. This is I
don't know how accurate that is because I haven't looked at it for many years.
This is a seasoned man who's bringing a lot of different pieces to the table, and it's really, really fun. And if you really want to see some just cool shit, there are 2 interviews online, at least 2, 4, probably 4. He has been on Jordan Peterson's podcast, and Jordan Peterson has been on his podcast. And then Eric, he interviews Eric Weinstein.
Weinstein, yeah.
Who is that? Brett's brother?
Yeah.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah, he just
What
came
a
by my
small
studio one day.
world.
It was funny
Say that
though,
again?
he just came by my studio one day and I just like switched on the streaming stuff. So like, I was
Yeah,
like,
you
hey,
know
let's
what's
do a
funny? It's
podcast.
1980. It's 19 or it's 2018. But and one of the things you guys talk about is how fast things are moving. It's 2018 the interview, but when you look at the equipment, for some reason it feels like it's like 1984. You know what I mean? Just like that's how far equipment's come.
Well, it's also because I run everything through fucking VHS filters and old TVs and shit like that.
Yeah.
So my shit always looks old, which covers up many sins. Have you got a Twitter?
I don't know if I have a.
I'll take that as a no. Then I was just gonna tweet this out, but I was gonna at you if you're.
I think I have a Twitter, but I only occasionally I just repost other people's stuff. Who are hating on, like if you hate on closures, I'll repost your stuff.
Okay, that's cool. Cheeto.
Where in Mexico are you?
I'm in Playa del Carmen right now. Playa del Carmen. It's in the Yucatan, on the right side.
And you're there with your son?
And my wife. Yeah.
And your son's name is Hercules?
That's right. My son's name is Hercules.
Yeah. And how
he's at the vet right now. He manifested himself a cat. So we're in tech. He always wanted a pet, but we kept like not being able to have one because of our living situations. We're in Texas, and he really wanted a cat. He wanted a ginger cat specifically, like a little red-headed cat. And we're out here in Mexico. And this exactly, yeah. Well, he's got to compensate for all the ones that are getting removed from popular culture. And this little ginger cat just started hanging outside the place we're staying in, and it would just run up to Hercules when he got back and rub up his leg. So they've let us adopt the cat, and he's with the cat right now at the vet. And the cat moves in officially today. So he's a very happy little boy. He manifested himself a little red-headed cat, a little Mexican El Gaso.
Yeah, let me expand on that racism a little bit. I just don't see Mexican cats ever needing to go to the vet, in my mind, just the way I have them judged.
Well, this one's got to go to the vet because he's got to have his nuts chopped off, and this was a deal I did with the landlady. Like, I'm against chopping the nuts off of humans in general, and I'm not really happy about it with regards to animals neither. However, I don't know if you know about how much cats like bang, how much banging cats do, but one cat can sire 1 million little cats, right? These street cats out here, because they just do so much banging, right? They just rampage around the place banging. They break, like cats out here is like rats in London. In London, you're only over 3 feet away from a rat, they say. Here, you're less than that away from a cat. You look around, you start seeing them everywhere. They're being exhaust pipes and shit. They're underneath cars. They're like peering out of trees. They are everywhere.
The exhaust pipe cat.
What's that?
The exhaust pipe cat.
Yeah. The little sausagey little exhaust pipe cat, just like peering out, And you see you'll see tribes of them, ones that look exactly the same. You're like, I know which nutsack you came out of. So,
do you know about the Coolidge effect?
Tell me about the Coolidge effect.
Calvin Coolidge went to a huge government farm. Do you know the story? It's related to banging. So basically, he went to this huge government farm in the United States that the government was subsidizing, and him and the first lady, Mrs. Coolidge, were taking tours of the farm. It was massive. I want to say it was like 50,000 acres. They had everything there. Cows, chickens, the whole growing shit, all that. And basically, they separated them and were giving them separate tours of the farm. And they took Mrs. Coolidge to see their chickens, and they said, "Mrs. Coolidge, this is our prize rooster. He has sex 50 times a day." And the first lady says, "Oh, please show that to the president, Calvin Coolidge." And so later on, they bring the president in, and he comes in, and they said, "This is a true story." And they said, "Mr. Coolidge, the first lady wanted us to show you this rooster. He's our prize rooster. He has sex 50 times a day." And the president said, "With the same chicken?" And they said, "No, sir, 50 different chickens." And he said, "Oh, make sure you show that, explain that to Mrs. Coolidge." And hence the Coolidge effect. And basically, you can take pretty much any male, Akira, and the refractory period drops to 0 as long as you keep bringing in new women, new females of the species. I don't even know if they have to be of the species. Fuck.
No, I don't think. I don't think
You probably get a lion to fucking hold down a goat and fuck it. But yeah, it's the male banging prowess is something. It's something else.
Oh, it's the purpose.
Yeah.
It is that which is to the purpose. Like everything else is periphery. You know, everything else is distraction. That's the cosmic point of it all.
Yeah, it's I had the guy who wrote you know the what was the movie? The guy's name is Ben Mesrick. He wrote the Facebook movie. He wrote the book that was switched into the screenplay. Anyway, so I watched that movie recently, and that's the reason Zuckerberg started Facebook. To get pussy. To get pussy.
Right.
It's just
that's why everyone does
in the movie.
That's why everyone does everything. That's why the Beatles formed the Beatles. That's why the Rolling Stones formed the Rolling Stones. That's why Mark Twain picked up a pen.
But isn't it funny? My mom has a Facebook account. She's 78 years old, but this product that she's using was developed for a young man to go out and scour the world for pussy. It's just crazy.
Yeah, that's what everything is developed for.
I know. It's
you know
nuts.
what I mean?
Yes.
This what we're using right now was developed for chicks to stick shit inside themselves on the internet too.
I do this show to make money.
Technological innovations.
Yes, I do this show to make money to keep my pussy.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, I'm gonna get in trouble for that.
Yeah, you don't. Well, this is it. You know what I mean? Jocko Willink went to war to protect everybody's. You know what I mean? Like that's what it's all about. It's about.
Wow, I like that. So have you have a relationship with Jordan Peterson? He is also one of your instruments. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah. He's an excellent instrument. Yeah.
Have you interviewed Jocko?
I've not interviewed Jocko. I'm working on the second Jocko album right now. I will tell you exclusively that a new Jocko song comes out in like 10 days. So I might interview him when the new album comes out.
Has anyone has he reached? I'm surprised he hasn't reached out to you. He seemed.
We've been in touch. We communicate, but we just haven't done a podcast. Yeah. So I was thinking the other day we should do one for this one, and that would be a beautiful conversation. Particularly now I've adapted more of his ways. You know what I mean? Like when I did the last album, there's all these songs about doing burpees and shit. I didn't even know what a burpee was. You know what I mean? I literally didn't know what a burpee was. I thought that shit would be like some kind of like gas problem you would have from doing too many push-ups or something. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
But when I came out here to Mexico, I was going to a coffee shop, a beautiful coffee shop called Fat Rabbit. And I had a gym next to it, or a box as they call it. And I'm watching all these people just like, I'm sipping my coffee and all these people like picking up heavy shit, jumping up and down. And there's only so long you can watch people jumping up and down and picking up heavy shit before you go do it as well, you know?
Right.
And like the only exercise I'd done prior to that really was just like DJing twice a day and jumping up and down and fucking punching people in the head when they got too close to the booth or whatever, right? That kind of vibes. And it turned out this thing was a CrossFit class. I didn't know what CrossFit was, but I went into this thing. And after about 45 minutes, I had to go outside and stand in the middle of the road, just heaving, you know.
Oh, that's awesome. Fantastic.
And I was like, yo, this is fucking epic. I haven't felt this good since like Solwax gave me these pills that they found inside a motorcycle hubcap that had been there since 1993. You know? And it was like the same feeling. It was like the feeling of like 90s ecstasy tablets, you know. I was like, holy shit. So I went back again the next day and I was out there heaving again. And after about a week, I wasn't heaving no more. You know what I mean? And I've been going 5 days a week ever since. And now I know what a fucking burpee is. And it's a whole new world. You know what I mean? So
Akira, down below, the guy that my mom says has the nice features, Caleb Beaver. He's in the United States Air Force. I'm a Berkeley super liberal Nazi, and our paths have crossed through. Well, I'm reformed. Don't worry, I'm reformed. And our paths crossed through burpees. Basically, we're both just CrossFitters, and because of that,
burpee bros.
Yeah, we're burpee bros. We're separated at birth, but the cosmic world brings all of us burpee people together eventually, and it's interesting. Did you know that when I invited you on the show? Did you know?
No, I had no idea.
Yeah, crazy.
No idea. And then I was looking at you up, and I was like, oh shit, you did PR for them or something, right? Or was it? Or you? Is that
we
what
don't
it was?
call it. We don't call it PR. Greg
What do
Glassman
you
told
call
us
it?
we only make
Storytelling.
things that add value. Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Spread the word, spread the truth.
You did mythopoetic storytelling for CrossFit.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Well, you did a very good job because it's out here in Mexico. It's like the thing. And,
You know, I don't work there anymore. I was fired when the new regime came in. But when I was there, I was an executive there, and I was extremely intimate with every crevasse, nook, and cranny. And one of the countries, I think maybe the only country that we didn't possess the trademark in was Mexico, and it was a big fucking problem.
Oh yeah,
it was a big problem because basically we couldn't have any gyms there. I want to say probably for the size of it is and for how developed it is, it has the fewest CrossFit gyms because people don't want to pay the $3,000 annual fee to keep the name, and they don't need to. And I think some guy in Mexico actually owns the name, and he tried to like strong arm Greg and sell it to him for like $4 million, and Greg just Greg was the founder, told him to eat a dick.
That's crazy. The gym I go to doesn't have CrossFit in the name of the gym. It's called Emphasis, but what they do there is CrossFit. I just went to get coffee just now, and they're all fucking there. I'm not usually up this early, and they're all there just fucking jumping up and down, going crazy. It's a beautiful thing to witness, and I really lucked out because it's apparently like the best CrossFit gym in Mexico, and people come from all over Mexico to train at it and have competitions. They had a competition recently I went to. The guy who runs it, Alan, is the #1 ranked CrossFit guy in Mexico, and I just happened to walk into that gym out of all the gyms I could have wandered into. It's very fucking crazy.
Impetus. Will you see if you can find that gym? I want to see it, and I want to see where he lives on the map. You said Playa? Does that mean it's near an ocean?
Playa del Carmen. Yeah, Playa means beach.
Oh, okay. I grew up in Berkeley and Oakland, and Playa doesn't mean beach. Playa is something. It means you bang.
Yo, last time I went to that place, I was playing an underwear party for like a sexy underwear brand, right? And my wife thought it'd be a good job to like save money on the hotel, so she booked me into a Travelodge. And you probably guess where the Travelodge was because my cab pulls up, and I step out of the cab. I don't know if you ever saw the first episode of The Walking Dead when he goes to Atlanta. He kind of looks around him, and from every angle there is a zombie sort of walking towards him slowly. It was like that. There was a crackhead coming at me from every fucking angle. I went around in a full like circle like that, and there was crackheads, but they're slow crackheads, you know what I mean? So you can just avoid them real easy. Anyway, she put me in fucking Tenderloin.
Oh my goodness.
She's like, oh, this place is cheap. Yeah.
I say it with all peace and love, but almost no exaggeration. They're just not, the only thing they haven't done yet is kill the Jews, but the Nazi regime has completely taken over San Francisco. It is crazy. It is so bad over there.
I was out there exactly this time 10 years ago, and I was playing Isotope Comics. I don't know if you know comic stores, but there's a famous comic store called Isotope Comics in San Francisco.
On Haight?
Yeah. And I say on Haight. I don't know if it is on Haight actually. Those
are the only comic book stores I knew.
Yeah, it's a famous one. It's like one of loads of. It always wins the awards for best comic store in California every year or whatever. Anyway, the difference between when I went there then and when I went there like a year or two ago was profound. But it's the same in Los Angeles. You know, I was in Los Angeles. I moved there. I was first out there in 2005 making an album with Danny Saber in a converted Masonic lodge up on not Melrose. Where was it? Up a hill. I can't remember the name of it now. It'll come back to me. And then I moved back there in like 2014 till 2020. And the difference between 2014 and 2020 was profound. I had a studio in downtown Los Angeles, and I watched the neighborhood go from just being chill to Skid Row just expanding and taking over everything. You know, there was a guy. I came out of my studio one day, and it's just the cognitive dissonance of that place sometimes. So across the road from me, there's a place called Rare Kicks, which is an expensive sneaker store, and Kanye would do his launches there and shit, right? So there's a queue of people all around the block queuing up, and they got deck chairs and shit out, and they're queuing up to get these new sneakers. On the other side of the road, there's a woman in a little sort of like, I don't know, frilly little negligee sort of thing, sort of being filmed for an advert or something, right? In the middle of the road, there's a guy just curling off giant dumps onto a piece of aluminum foil and then inspecting them.
Oh, well, that's nice. That's nice that it's on aluminum foil. I will say that.
I don't know why he was doing the aluminum foil. He was putting them up. I don't know if he was going to keep them to do something with them. You know what I mean? He's
right
in the middle of the road. I saw this guy multiple times. He'd stand in the middle of the road with his appendage, just spraying into the oncoming traffic, just daring them to run him over. You know?
How dare you not? And did you recognize that as art?
Huh? Yeah, I mean, you could call that art, right? One definition of art is anything that falls outside of the realm of survival, right? So if it isn't direct survival, like, you know, protecting
extraneous shit,
then you could say that that's art. Some people say that. I think postmodernists say that. I think people who want to excuse like dreadful paintings use that. But I understand how you could go along with that line of thinking.
It's I just want to say something in case anyone got hung up on my just huge disdain for the left where I come from. It's this, and it's not that I'm hugely for the right, but I just want to tell, like, I just can't be part of the party that's just hurting so many people. But here are the two things. They've been doing the same thing for 100 years, and they haven't changed, and they're getting the same results. They always been getting the same results.
Worse results, I would say.
Yes, well, yes, thank you.
Bit by bit, it's eroding, and well, not bit by bit, because there's been this crazy escalation over the past decade, where it's wildly worse than it was. Same policies, same party, all that, but wildly worse within between 2012 and 2022.
And there's a Taoist principle here that people really have to understand. You think you're raised to believe that the Democrats and the liberals are for the poor, and the Republicans are for the rich.
Mm-hmm.
But it's misspeak. It's that the Democrats want there to be poor, and the Republicans want there to be rich. And so the Democrats sustain that. They are the people at the restaurant who feed the seagulls while you're trying to eat. It's complete fucking bullshit. They don't give a fuck about anyone. They just want to feed the seagulls. and it's not cool. It's not cool. And so the seagulls descend on your city and they fucking shit on everything. They just want to
feed the seagulls is a brilliant name for like a emo band or something.
I give it to you.
They
basically,
if you want to form an emo band.
They misunderstand helping people.
Well, I don't know if they do. The George Orwell's observation was that the socialists that he encountered in London, who claimed to be on the side of the poor, hated the rich far more than they loved the poor. So all their efforts went into sort of like dragging down rather than lifting up.
Yes. You know? Yes, and that is the Democrats base their identity on hating the Republicans. I don't know if the Republicans base their identity on hating Democrats. Maybe they do.
No, that's not really my observation. No, it's not in America. Things are different in different parts of the world. But in America, the pure vitriol, saying that it was the same in Britain, I remember now. I was raised as a little socialist. Like my parents used to listen to Billy Bragg records, and there is Power in a Union and all that sort of thing. And I was programmed.
I wish I could hug you. We're both reform. You were raised as a little socialist. We could hug and be like, "Wasn't it horrible?"
Oh, I thought money was I thought they just program you to be poor and resentful and bitter forever, right?
Yes. And, resent rich people.
Yeah, and we were taught that the right wing party in Britain is the Tory party, and they're referred to as Tory scum.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just taught from birth that they were evil, and they wanted everybody dead. And the other party were goody goodies, and they wanted to lift up poor people. And then you kind of like, you get a bit older and you pay attention. You look at things, you're like, oh, that's not actually what was going on at all. Now, I'm not saying that the Tory party are lovely, but this comical portrayal of goody goodies and baddie baddies. And that's led to our current predicament, because our current predicament has us in this situation where you're taught from birth that, you know, right is bad and far right is very, very bad. And you're taught the left is goody goody, so far left must be goody 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 goody.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's a big problem we have. And kids are just, you know, and the right are very, very bad at branding and marketing and stuff of that nature. So they don't seem to be able to fix these problems because they're all problems of perception and branding. And, you know, Goebbels wrote all this stuff down a long time ago, and you can just go on. I was on it yesterday. There's a brilliant one of those quote websites, and it's called like inspirationalquote.com. And I found Goebbels' page. Goebbels has a page on like inspirationalquote.com, right? And it's just all this stuff about, the glory of like how to brainwash people and what socialism really is. And as socialists, this is what we're doing. So all these quotes you never hear, like Goebbels of the Nazi Party. As socialists, what we're doing is this. Da 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 da. Anyway,
when one of the first times I saw it, and I was far from waking up and seeing it clearly, was I was seeing how California was treating smokers. And although I approved of all the rules, I knew that it was wrong. It doesn't matter if you think if you're behaving like a fucking fascist in the name of good, you're still a fascist. And I would see the laws that they would be passing on smoking, like you couldn't smoke on the sidewalk, you had to stand in the street, or you couldn't smoke in your house if your neighbors could smell it. And it started getting and they started taxing cigarettes. And I'm like,
you see how that was the warm up for everything that's happening now?
Yeah.
And do you remember how quickly they did it?
Yeah.
Like I remember, I was in 90, whatever it was. I left home when I was 16, just before I was 16, in 96, like just before my 16th birthday. And I was, running around being homeless all over the place for a while. And I was going in and out of pubs as you do as a kid, and everyone was smoking. But it literally went from, in the course of like 2 years or something, from everybody smoking to suddenly you couldn't smoke, to suddenly you're a pariah, to suddenly you're out the back, to suddenly you're not allowed within, you're not allowed anywhere. They did it so fucking fast and in the name of good, And
it may have been in the name of good, but that doesn't justify it.
No, it's always in the name of good, but
yeah.
It's always in the name of good. The worst things are always done by people completely convinced of their rightness. I think Alan Watts said something along those lines.
What do you say? What do you think about?
Confucius said that goody goodies are the thieves of virtue.
I didn't know Confucius even used that word goody goodies. That's awesome.
Maybe that's a contemporary translation of what he was. He would have had a word for goody goody. Yeah. Everything awful is always done by people completely convinced of their rightness. And the worst things are done by the people most convinced of their rightness. So the people who think that they are the most good and virtuous are the people who do the most fucked up things.
Wow.
And that's consistently true across history. In fact, that's the number one lesson of history, right?
Caleb, that's the Instagram clip. Where are we?
Those are the people that you want to fucking watch out for. Anyone comes around. Alan Watts said something about it, and people think of Alan Watts as being this hippie type guy. I did an album sampling him, and he says when he starts hearing people talking about how good they are and what have you, he gets a shotgun and bars his door. Says, I buy a shotgun and bar my door because I know there's a storm of hypocrisy coming or something like that. And that's the real shit. Those are people you want to be scared of. There's no Dr. Evils. You know what I mean? Klaus Schwab isn't sat around going, ha, 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 ha. I'm going to do some evil shit today. These motherfuckers think they're good with the capital.
Yes. Yes. They do.
Even though they look like fucking crypt keepers and shit. All these people look incredibly evil. It's hilarious. Every person who's like some kind of minister for health or whatever in the Build Back Better world looks like looks like a Batman villain. But people, it's still is not seen because they say they're good, and just saying you're good seems to be enough to convince certain people that you are good. It's like a weird spell that people. It's like a glamour, right? In fantasy novels, they always talk about glamours. You cast a glamour, and people think you're virtuous. There you go.
You should see Ireland's too, Caleb. Ireland's is crazy.
All of them crazy, man. They're like
crazy.
They all got these. That one's very funny though. You know what I mean?
See if you can. No, so maybe I have it wrong. I thought it was Ireland had this over there somewhere. They have another woman. It's interesting because I'm on the. I absolutely think that if you're obese, that you could still be a great coach. You could still be a great CrossFit coach. I think that if you suck at football, you could still be a great football coach. But for some reason, I don't think people who are in charge of making laws around your health or health decisions should be unhealthy.
Well, it's like if you go to you go to a restaurant and the chef is skinny, you get the fuck out of there.
Oh, yeah, or if there's no line, right? This place is empty. Let's go in. No, thank you.
That's kind of wrong, to be honest. Like I'm one of these like zero carbs, eats only steak type weirdos. You know what I mean? So like, if I went to a steak restaurant and the guy did not look fucking ripped and shit, I don't know if I would trust him. To be honest, at this point in my life, I kind of think that like, if you're going to be like running the country, you should be able to like jump on top of a box and pick up a fucking car or some shit. Otherwise, I don't trust you. And if you're going to be lecturing about me about my fucking health, you should definitely be slightly healthy. You know what I mean? Now, like, fat guys are strong. Why is that? I've been wondering about this. Have you seen that?
Say that again. What was this phrase you just said?
What about fat guys being strong? Who's this guy? PewDiePie put me onto this guy. I don't know if you can pull up a video and play it. It's the best thing in the world. It's only 32 seconds. The video is called "I Know What Men Can Do When They're Angry."
Okay.
It's pretty much the greatest video of all time. It's 30 seconds long. It's if all that YouTube had ever given to the world was this video, it would have all been worth it.
Do you know? But while Caleb pulls that up, do you know a guy named Eli Webby? He wrote a book called Mask.
That rings a bell. Although I don't know the book Mask, but the name.
We'll circle back around to him.
Okay, here you go.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was afraid of the retaliation. I know the power of patriarchy. I know what men can do when they're angry.
Yeah,
if that guy speaks English, he needs to come on the podcast. Who the fuck is that?
That's my inspiration. That's
for your next song.
What's that? For everything, just in general. I just think of that all the time. You know what I mean? You ever in like any situation where you're feeling a bit bummed or you're feeling like you can't quite do a thing? I just think of that fucking guy. You know what I mean? He's an incredible creature. He's been uploading videos like that for 9 years to YouTube. Like no context, no talking to the camera, just like footage of him just picking up ridiculously heavy shit and screaming.
Yeah, and the deflection on that bar, the whole thing, his friend there. I'm gonna tell the Russian writing on the shirt. I think it makes you 50 pounds. You know, all your list 50 pounds stronger. Just get some Russian writing on your shirt.
Yeah, right. Fuck. Yeah.
I wore this shirt, by the way, because of you. Do you feel it?
I can't see it.
But it sort of has a club vibe, ravey vibe to it.
I'm gonna have to make you bigger. You're very, very small on my screen.
I'm very small. I'm only 5'5". I'm a very small man anyway.
Who is that? It looks like Billie Eilish as a zombie or something.
I don't know. It's an old shirt. I got it in Santa Barbara at like some skater rave shop back in the day.
Okay, that's very nice.
But I just she's got the titties out and she's like, I just like it.
I can't even see the titties. Man, you've got like titties on YouTube. You're a savage.
Yeah.
You snuck titties onto YouTube. What an absolute
beast. It's funny when I go to my kids' events and I accidentally wear a shirt. I like this shirt so much that I probably only wear it like 4 times a year because I know every time I wash it, it's reducing the life. Do you have any shirts like that?
I have loads of shirts like that. I nearly wore one today and then I didn't wear it because I didn't want to reduce its life. Yeah.
Serious?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Literally just now, I put it on for like about 60 seconds and then took it off again.
Sevan doesn't deserve.
This one's already fucked.
Sevan doesn't deserve the shirt. I'm gonna have this guy on the podcast. He ran a couple nightclubs in LA. The big one that I forget, I wish I could remember the name of the first one he was at, but where I'm at in the book right now is he ran a club called Warwick. Does that ring a bell?
I know the Warwick. Yeah, I DJ'd there a couple times.
Okay. And basically, and I'm at the part in the book where he's talking about where they remodel it a couple times a year and but basically he's talking about the LA nightlife.
Oh, yeah.
And it sounds absolutely fucking horrible. It sounds so stressful. And
I'm very
even when he talks about the superficiality of it, it feels superficial just hearing him talk about it. I mean, it's layered so.
I'll tell you one thing about it. So I'd never, because I was out there DJing in Hollywood for like 4 years or something. And the sorts of places I'm DJing at are the sorts of places where Kendall Jenner goes for a birthday party when she's underage or whatever the fuck, which Kylie, whatever, the one with the ass implants on her face. You know, so it's the place is always full of those sorts of people and tigers and weekends. And then there's this whole army of people who hang on to those sorts of people, you know, and they spend a lot of money. They're the people, they sell bottles of champagne in these places that are hundreds of thousands of dollars, you know, and when someone buys one, like a bottle of champagne, whether it's like a regular sort of $500 bottle one or one of the tens of thousands ones, you know, that girls come out dressed in weird, you know, some kind of negligee and a duck outfit or whatever the theme of the bar is, with sparklers and all this shit, which I'd never seen until I went there. And so the table that gets it, they make a big sparkler deal of it, and the DJ is supposed to do something to kind of accentuate the moment. So everyone looks at these people and goes, "Oh, special people," and then they want to do it, right? And I remember I was working in one of these clubs that's one of these super, super high level, expensive type places, and they hire people, they pay people to go in there and do that, so that then the rich people will copy them, because so it's fake. It's like clappers. They used to have clappers back in the day at Shakespeare plays, right? They'd be paid to go in there and clap so that everyone else claps, because people.
I'd be so good at that. I'd be so good at
You'd be a
that.
good clapper.
Fuck
So yeah,
yeah.
so you have people. They pay young guys who they call promoters, and what the young guys' job to do is to amass an army of hot young chicks. And they come to the club with their army of hot young chicks, and they get free booze. And then the rich guys come in and see hot chicks. And then the promoter guy with his table of hot chicks, orders a bottle of champagne, and they come out with the sparklers. And then the rich guys go, "Oh shit, I need to ball like that guy." And then they do it, and they get the sparklers. And it's a game of fucking sparkler dominoes that then goes on. Yeah. And the way they build up the clubs is this interesting thing where it's done deliberately to build them up to the point that kind of like rich Arab types from Dubai start coming. But when the rich Arab types from Dubai start coming, the place becomes less cool. So while that's happening, they'll open up another venue. And then once the Arab guys don't think the place is cool anymore, they'll remodel and relaunch, and then bring back the young types, and they'll do this cycle over and over and over. Yeah, it's a wonderful world.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's a brutal lifestyle. Like
it's a brutal lifestyle. Yeah, it's a brutal lifestyle. Because outside of that stuff, doing that, you then have to go to after parties afterwards.
Yeah,
or like everyone thinks they have to. I discovered it was bullshit. Everyone told me you have to go to after parties. That's where you get gigs. That's where you make your connections. And you just end up in a house in the hills with a bunch of cokeheads screaming at each other till midday the next day. Then you get fuck all done the next day, and then you have to go DJ or whatever in the evening, and then it's round again. And sometimes you get stuck, and there's no reception. You can't get an Uber, so you're just stuck up a mountain with a bunch of weirdos screaming at each other. I ended up at Justin Bieber's house one time in that kind of fashion. It was just horrible. You just got everyone's running around trying to find which the coolest party is, and you go. So someone will try and get everyone back to theirs, but then a cooler party will turn up, and everyone will leave them. And they've spent loads of money on getting champagne or something delivered, and they're all sad, and all the chicks go off to Justin Bieber's house. It's a crazy world.
Yeah, that's basically how he makes it sound in the book. I'm very interested to have him on. I wonder if you ever how long does it take to recover from that? Does it take a year from being with in that kind of environment where
I invented Meaning Wave in that environment.
You did?
Yeah.
Tell me about Meaning Wave. Tell everyone about Meaning Wave.
Well, so I'm in that environment. And
this is 2000, what year? 14, 15?
Yeah, 2014 was when I moved to LA and started and became Hollywood club DJ guy, like best open format DJ in Hollywood type guy. But I was already, I've been making music for years. Anyway, sort of during this process, I invented Meaning Wave, and that was just a case of making records with, rather than a singer, I was sampling people talking, whether it was lectures or podcasts, or I was taking ancient philosophical texts and converting those into pop songs or whatever. I was basically integrating the wisdom of the ages into the most deadly, mimetic, sort of viral, implantable, imbuable form that we know outside of heroin, which is music.
Why do you say deadly?
Well, everything's deadly if in the wrong hands.
All right,
Right. The power, like music, well, it is music. People don't think about what music is doing, so they just listen to records that turn them into simps and fools. If you listen to the content of most pop music, it is on a mental or whatever level, it is the story or the experience of the lowest common denominator 14-year-old. And people be listening to that shit their whole lives, and people wonder why guys in their 40s are sitting around in a pile of Funko Pops and crying themselves to death. No, I hate my Funko Pops. I got one right here. My son bought me this for becoming level 5 data. Anyway, but yeah, so but I was doing this thing, and the other thing about being a Hollywood DJ type nightlife guy is you have to be a functional alcoholic. Everyone is a functional alcoholic of some kind. The bar staff, everyone who works in these places, the bar staff they all want to be Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
I think they're all people who've come to LA to be actors. So every barman is the most handsome guy you've ever seen. Every bar woman's the most beautiful woman you've ever seen, you know? And they work real hard and they drink real hard. You know what I mean? Everyone is fucking drunk. Everyone's drinking all the time. And as a DJ, people just be walking around pouring shots down your neck because every time you do anything cool, they give you a shot. And then all the rich guys want to be seen to be hanging with the DJ. So they come and pour booze on your head and all this type of shit. So everyone's a fucking functioning alcoholic. Barely functioning.
And other good stuff too. Like, do you get MDMA or?
Well, everything. There's people, literally, people are throwing everything at you and trying to do bumps in the fucking DJ booth. And Wiz Khalifa's in there, like, smoking the place out so you can't see a laptop screen and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Miley Cyrus is stealing your phone charger.
Yeah.
Like, all that type joke. David Hasselhoff's coming in the booth wanting to do a shout out and you don't have a microphone. So you give him your headphones and he talks into your headphones like the Wu-Tang recorded their album in that fashion. You know what I mean?
I approve of Dave. That's the first person I approve of, by the way, David Hasselhoff. Miley.
He's a bad motherfucker. He's a drunk motherfucker. I met him on a couple of occasions and he was hammered on both occasions. And one of them was like 1 PM. You know what I mean? He recorded me a nice drop.
Oh, he did?
I got a David Hasselhoff drop. This is David Hasselhoff, aka Hassel the Hoff. I'm with Akira the Don. Stay tuned. And then he hiccups. You know? And he was my motherfucker. I did just some parties for his daughter. Anyway, so I'm in this fucking world, and the world is crazy, you know what I mean? And I've got a studio downtown, and I'm making all this music, and I'm making these instrumental records because I was making vocal rap records, but I realized I couldn't make the album I wanted to make because I wasn't yet wise enough. I was making this trilogy of albums about the human experience, and I've got to album 3, and I realized, oh shit, I can't make this album yet because I'm not yet wise enough. I haven't had a kid. There's certain stuff I do not understand. So I stopped.
Wait, sorry. I do want to hear the story. How, God, oh, fuck. I don't know if I want to take you off in this direction. How did you know that you weren't wise enough? And how did you know the kid was part of the metric? Can you give me just
that's pretty basic. That seems pretty obvious. The first album was about but
it's so mature to be able to reflect on yourself and know that.
Well, I pay attention to that stuff. So like the first album was about, coming into the world, being an individual. The right of the individual to be an individual. It was peppered with samples, held together with samples from The Prisoner.
Okay.
You know, and it was about my experience growing up in Wales and leaving home at 15 and living with junkies and all this type of shit, you know. And the second album was about when you start interfacing with the world and you realizing you're part of something else and how everything is synergetic and fits together and all that type of thing. And then the third album was going to basically be about the thing that you learn after that. So the second thing is when you sort of, you know, that a lot of the people who step into kind of like extremist leftism go into that thing and just stay there. They don't go all the way through. You know what I mean? A lot of
you have to go all the way through. You're right.
You have to go all the way through. I think all of our problems are a result of people not thinking things all the way through to their conclusion or taking it all the way. So when you do that, when you think that, you go, oh shit. You know, and part of that obviously is becoming a full-blown proper fucking adult like they had back in the day and you read about in books and shit. And part of that involves having a child. I think if you've not had a child, there's obviously a giant part of the human experience you know fuck all about and can't talk about. There's another. This is why I honestly do not think one of the big issues right now is we have all these leaders without children. That's a fucking catastrophic. They have no skin in the game.
Fucking nuts. I've never heard anyone say that, but that's nuts.
Right?
Who? Tell me does Trudeau doesn't have any kids?
Trudeau, I don't know if he doesn't look like a guy who has kids. I don't think he has nuts. So how could he have kids?
He doesn't look like he bangs, right?
None of
I don't
those
mean that
guys
in a
do.
mean way.
Macron does not have kids, right? The French one, he doesn't have kids.
Holy shit.
The German one, she doesn't have kids. Interestingly, all the ones that have come out.
Merkel doesn't have kids either?
Is it Merkel? Maybe look into it. There's a whole bunch of them, and they all intercross with the World Economic Forum thing. So everyone who's kind of come out of that school is like 70% of them or something don't have kids. It's a lot of them don't have kids. I don't think that the one in New Zealand, I don't think she has kids.
I want to explain something to people real quick, and then I want Akira Don to explain it too. The reason why your whole mind you become selfless when you have kids in an ideal world, and you start really even the most selfish people in the world start to become selfless, like literally selfless, like not in a way like, hey, I'm going to stop and help this old lady across the street. Like you vanish, and there's a profound happiness with that I can't even fucking explain. But if you don't have that, you do not have the best interest if you don't sample that in your daily life, deep, like complete selflessness, then you have no business running a country. None.
No, doing anything that has any consequence. There's this that poor fool Seth Rogen or whatever he's called, Rogen, who's
that guy's a douchebag too. Is that the comedian?
Yeah, he said something
horrible
about how him and his missus aren't going to have any kids because he said people who have kids, they don't have any fun. He says, me and my wife, we have fun. We lie around in bed smoking weed, watching cartoons. I don't want to lose that. And I thought, you poor, sad fuck. I felt so bad for that guy. I almost cried reading that. Because that's the mindset of so many people who've been fooled by this evil trick, because the most wonderful thing you could ever do is have children. And those Saturday mornings lying around smoking weed and watching cartoons, those shits was fun. But they're nothing compared to the mornings when children come into the equation. It's nothing. It's not even in the same like library. You know what I mean?
If you watch your kids, when you watch your kids dance, my kids dance a lot. It's probably the best moment of my life.
Yeah,
I'm gonna really say this too. It's better than when you're 16, you're like, or 18, like me, when you lose your virginity, you're like, man, this is the greatest thing ever. Watching your kids dance is better than losing your virginity.
And it just gets better and better.
It's nuts. Yeah, it's nuts.
So wonderful watching them grow, watching them evolve, when they appear, they're already fully formed in a weird sort of a way, and then you kind of watch. They already exist as they are. Like the inherent nature of the human is in them from the very beginning. And then you get to watch it unfold, and you get to watch it blossom. If you're doing things correctly, if you're paying attention, if you're not sending them off for the government to smack them around the head with hammers until they turn into miserable, bitter retards,
I wish I lived near you. I wish I lived near you.
You should. It's great. We have a great. You could come to Mexico's best CrossFit gym. You're very welcome to visit.
This trilogy of albums. What's the name of them?
Oh yeah, well the first one was called When We Were Young, and the second was called The Life Equation, and the third one was going to be called The Third Force, and I'll make that when I've amassed a bit more.
Oh, you rap on that's your. Well, when you look this album up, I'll let you just say, is this would you consider this a rap album? They call this a rap album.
Yeah, well, I'm rapping on it.
Yeah.
I was the first British rapper signed to Interscope Records, which is like Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine and all that shit.
Were you the first white dude signed to it also?
No, Eminem was signed to them.
Okay.
But I was the first British guy. Jimmy Iovine sat me down and told me that I was going to do to rap music what the Beatles did to rock and roll. And then I made them an album, and it had a song in it called Thanks for All the AIDS. And,
I see.
And they said, you better change these lyrics, motherfucker. I had another song called Bankers. I had a song in it that predicted the stock market crash. It said on it, the mortgage-based security system's about to blow. It's not a fairy tale or speculation. This is what we know. And there's some shit about taking us down to 500 million or some shit like that. It was a very based. I was a very based young man. They did not like that shit. Oh, there you go. Yeah, exactly. Big fucking happy chorus, and they're like, "You need to change these lyrics." And I was like, "No." Well,
they really do tell you that.
Yeah,
they
yeah,
really.
Yeah.
They don't just hint at it, and you got pissed. They really.
I got a phone call from my A&R guy, and he says, "Right, they listen to the record. They're not going to put it out with those lyrics. You need to change some shit." I'd been in Iovine's office, played him some songs, he was cool with some of them, but I was not. And at that point, Busta Rhymes was on the label, and he had recorded 3 albums for them that were on the shelf that they wouldn't release. I was like, fuck, if Busta Rhymes ain't getting this shit out, what's going to happen to me? So I'd had one of my songs in a movie called My Super Ex-Girlfriend that had it played at the moment when Uma Thurman and Eddie transvestite British comedian snogged, I took the money from that to buy my album back and have been independent ever since.
Wait. How did you get money from Uma Thurman? Is snog mean kissing?
Yeah. Sorry, that's a British word. That means tongue kissing.
She kissed the tranny, and you got money out of that.
Yeah, well, it was in a movie. So when things in movies is cool.
Oh.
It was in a movie called My Super Ex-Girlfriend, which
Oh,
was like an early superhero romantic comedy type joint.
How old are you? You're 42?
I think I will be in May. Yeah, I will be in May.
Man, you've done so much stuff already.
Yeah.
Hey, do you think being in Mexico has helped your skin? Do you think you look younger there?
I mean, I'm in the probably the best shape of my life right now, as a result of getting shitloads of vitamin D and jumping up and down on top of boxes in CrossFit 5 days a week. You know. So yeah, my skin is definitely better. My hair is everything is better being out here.
I mean, you always had nice skin. When just like look at the videos I've seen of you, you know, 5 years ago. You look good.
I didn't always.
No.
My skin sort of thing is though, when I basically stopped eating carbs and vegetables, all my health problems went away. I did like a baseline diet thing. I was just like breaking it. The only food that I ever like didn't cause me problems was steak. So I did a reduction diet where I just like stopped eating everything apart from steak, and all my health problems went away. And if I ever tried reintroducing anything, I would have the problem come back. So for the past like 4 years now, I think 3-4 years, I've just eaten steak.
Many years ago, a guy I worked with told me he quit eating dairy, and I was like, "Oh, I'll give it a try." And he goes, I wouldn't. And I go, "Why?" And he goes, "Because you can never come back." I was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah. It's real. I used to fucking love my fucking, big fat lattes and all that type of shit. But I have these I used to have these tiny little bumps, which you couldn't see, but I could feel them on my skin. You know what I mean? Those went away when I stopped putting milk in my fucking coffee. Dumb shit like that. I used to have like fucking bleeding gums and all sorts of stupid shit. And all that stuff went when I did those dietary shifts. And the thing is, it's like that shit doesn't work for everybody. And the reason is because some people come from carnivore ancestry and some people come from plant ancestry. And we know this from our myth and from our mythological record. There were some places in the world where any plant you would eat would kill you. So those people were carnivores. But then there was other places in the world where they weren't even animals, and those people just ate rotting vegetation and shit of that nature. And we come from these people, and some of us come from carnivore people, and we do better with those sorts of diets. And others of us come from the plant people. And it was the plant people who did human ritual sacrifice, by the way. Because
Of course,
yeah.
Lars, this guy Logan Mars here, he's the guy who introduced me to Lars. Why don't you come on and
shit. The fucking legend. Well, Logan Mars is responsible for the hot sauce.
Yes, he is. Yes,
well, he sent me a fucking big load of hot sauce, and I banged a bunch of it on a live stream. You know.
Wow.
That shit was good.
Logan, why don't you call in and you can fluff him for a second? Logan's the only guy I let call in on non-call-in shows.
Really?
Yes. Yes, that is accurate.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Do you ever you ooze so much creativity that does it ever get dangerous? To yourself, like you're like, okay, like it sounds like you have some balance in your life, but it is ever like, okay, I'm not working out enough, I'm not sleeping enough, I'm not being nice enough to my wife, I'm not spending enough time with my kids. Like, does it ever become? Are you beyond that phase now that you're 40? Is it like, okay, like but
all
do you know what I mean?
Happen.
Like an
addiction.
all
those things happen. You constantly have to recalibrate, right? Like you constantly. I kind of audit, so I'll like check in on. I like do a habit audit, for example, and I'll see what habits you've got going on, and are they useful? Maybe you've developed some that aren't good. And that habit might be like not being nice enough to your wife or whatever the fuck, or whatever. Habits come in, you know, and if you don't pay attention, they'll take over your whole life, and next thing you know, you'll be dead. So I audit that stuff and I have a look at it, and if I find any habits that are not serving me, I replace them with useful ones, you know. And you might think of those as systems. One of the Scott Adams is how to lose and keep win or big or whatever the fuck. He had a book I read in 2014 that was very influential on me in Meaning Wave, and he talked about the idea of systems being better than goals overall, because you have a goal. When you reach that goal, you're like, well, what the fuck now? And when you haven't reached that goal, you're in a state of not having reached that goal, and that's not a good state. You know what I mean? Whereas if you turn your desires or aims into the first one. If you turn your desires or aims, as Peterson calls them aims, right? If you don't have an aim, you're aimless. So you set your aim, and then you reverse engineer systems that will carry you to that aim. And all you have to do is execute those systems. And then what I realized is you can turn those systems into habits, replacing unuseful habits So then your habits are the systems that will carry you to your aims. And you're like a guy you're like a rock star at a concert, you know what I mean? Just getting carried by the crowd the habits you've created for yourself. So anyway, I check in on those motherfuckers on a monthly basis. I make a new album every month. At the beginning, part of the process at the beginning is checking in on my habits. Another thing I do is institute some new things that I haven't done before. So I'm constantly kind of on the edge of my competence, which is a place that you need to be in order to be maximally zone inhabitant and creative. Yeah.
Audit your habits. That should by Mars, sorry, my phone crashed right when you called in. Auditing your habits should be one of everyone's habits. Like that is something, as I'm not a goal-oriented person. I know I've heard you talk about how you write out like sort of your future 10 years. I don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, neither.
No. Oh, okay. I thought you did do that. I thought like you would like lay out your whole, I thought I heard you talking to Jordan Peterson. No,
I mean, he's very methodical at planning. I'm simpler in that I have a much simpler aim. I will have or some simple aims. I wish to become competent in this thing, or I wish to achieve this, or whatever the fuck it is. I don't have like a fucking 10-year plan broken down. But what I do sort of break down is, like I said, I'll have an aim, and then I'll reverse engineer how to get to that, and put in place systems that will do that, and then just do the systems. And then it's just a case of discipline. And of course, like I said, but then you can turn those things into habits. And then it's real easy. But you just have to make sure, you have to audit those habits and make sure it's still the ones that you wanted. Because things will slip in, and the deeper you get into life, the more things become habitual. And when something becomes a habit, whether it's like driving to work in the same way, or eating the same thing, or whatever it is, your brain will start fast forwarding through that activity because it's seen it before.
Right.
And that's part of why I think people have the illusion of time speeding up as you get older. And that's why those summers when you were a little kid used to go on forever, because it was all new experiences. You know, those early summers, everything was fucking new. Getting chased by a farmer, you know, seeing a girl bend over, like making a nice daisy chain for some motherfucker, you know what I mean? Getting your head kicked in. It was like new shit.
A daisy chain. I haven't heard that term in a long time. That's when you pick the flower and you put a little slice in the stem and you connect them all together, make a necklace.
Yeah, that's right. That is exactly what it is. And I was and until you start hanging out with people in Oxford, and then a daisy chain means a completely different thing in Oxford and Cambridge, where all the British rich people are. A daisy chain is in those places is the rich people in Britain send their kids to private schools where they get sexually abused
over daisy chain. That's a different kind of daisy chain.
And they sit around in a circle, and each person like jerks the person to the left of them off in a circle. Shit. And that's how they bond. And then that's how they don't snitch on each other when they become politicians, because they know shit like that, and they've got photos of each other doing weird shit from when they were kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
God, that seems like
that's how you run empires. That's just real. I met these people. I was hanging out with a girl, and she was joining some secret society, and the ritual to join the secret society, and everyone in that thing has gone on. Some of them are fucking like lawyers, prime minister types, whatever. Like they had to like bang like a pint of gin and some heroin and go out and find a homeless person and bang them and take a photo. That shit will cement your reliability.
Hey, if you're stuck in one of those situations where you feel like just let it go. Just come clean. It's so much easier not having any secrets. Just come clean. So you
the glorious thing about
suck someone off in university. Who cares? Whatever. We love you. So
the end result of cancel culture, which is a wonderful thing, is a situation where if you haven't been canceled, we're very close to that. We might already be there. Like people will treat you with suspicion because you're a fucking nut.
Yes.
And if you haven't done some weird shit, people are going to think you're a weirdo. What happens is you end up in a position of just radical empathy because everybody's got some shit and everybody could get, you know what I mean?
If you this social score thing that I keep hearing about, if you think a high social score is good, you are fucking out of your mind. If you try to follow me on Instagram, Akira, they'll give you a warning. It's been like that for about a year and a half now. And they say, hey, are you sure you want to follow this guy? He's misinformation. And 99 out of 100 people will be like, hey, I'm so glad I found you. This proves to me that like I should follow you. But every once in a while, someone will be like, hey, I can't follow you because you're a spreader of misinformation. I just like, holy shit.
Hey, thank you for outing yourself as a chump.
Yeah.
As a chump. God bless you. Yeah. It's cool now. Everything that's happening in the world right now is just a wonderful sort of like easily recognizable visual metaphor for what we already knew. So like we already knew school was a prison to design.
I didn't. I'm just learning that now. I'm so fucking far behind the curve.
Well, this is good because now you're learning it. But like, I knew that
Yeah.
school was a prison designed not to educate, but to stimmy and to sort of brainwash and to crush and to create uniform little creatures that would work in the 1900s factory system. That's literally what it was designed for. And then the one for posh people, for rich people in Britain, that was designed to create people who would run the country in the way that the people above them wanted and would also be conform. So both systems were designed to create as conformity, and both were modeled as prisons, right?
And they're dishonest, right? There are schools where you can go to and become an electrician, and it's honest. It wants you to become an electrician. But these public schools, they act like they're benevolent, but they're not. If they would just be honest with us and trust the people would do the right thing.
But now they show what they are, because now if you go to them, you have to like strap a thing around your face so you all look the fucking same, and you have to like stand at this point, and you have to believe this and say this, and if you don't say the thing you're supposed to believe, you're publicly humiliated and removed and all this type of thing. It's just very, very obvious now what's going on, and that's across all of our society. It's now painfully obvious what's going on, who the people are, what people believe, who are the people who are basically going to be the ones who snitch to, like the kids in 1984 who snitch on the parents, and like the people who had snitched to the Gestapo back in the day. All of that stuff is out in the open now. We know who the people are. That's a wonderful thing. That's very, very useful. It's the more clear things are to more people, the more likely it is that we can create at this point of creation that we're at. A lot of people are very black pilly doomy, or it's inevitable that we get Klaus Schwab's wet dream. I don't think that's the case. I think this is an incredible opportunity to do something that we've never been able to do before. And you see potential for that everywhere you look. So tell me, you have recently discovered what schools are about. How did that happen?
Because I grew up in the city, and I grew up in the Bay Area, and I'm a fucking peace, love, homosexual love all my men. I don't see color, just you're hardcore, just
that means you're a racist now, by the way. If you don't see color, you're a racist.
Right. I was a tree hugging, barefoot. I lived a life. I was homeless for 5 years. I'd stop and help and do everything for anybody and anything. And then I'll just give you one example. I dropped my kid off at elementary school one day, or I don't even think he was in school at the time. I was going by the elementary school he was going to go to, and we were getting papers to get him enrolled or something. And I saw the LGBTQ flag out front. And I'm like, why is that flag out here? Because I used to go to all the gay pride parades. I know what the flag stands for. The flag stands for gay means sex. That means you like to have sex with people. If you have a penis and I have a penis, we like to have sex with each other. Where straight means penis and vagina, right? That's all that flag means. And so I would go to these parties, and I know what gay dudes are into. They're the same thing that straight dudes are into. They just want to fuck.
They like more amyl nitrate. They're like more extreme. But
well, because they don't have anyone putting the brakes on them.
Exactly.
Girls putting the brakes on.
And
so that's why we would go to Polk Street in the city, and we would
Polk Street.
Polk Street.
Good.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, and we would fucking party there, and I'd see the one gay dude walking like 5 buff gay dudes, and their cock and balls hanging out. And we'd be partying, and there'd be trannies everywhere. I used to hang out
with some of those bear people. I used to DJ parties for those bear guys in San Francisco.
Yeah, shit was awesome.
I didn't do like no one ever did anything to me, but they called me a little cub because I had a beard.
Yeah,
write about me in their magazines.
Of course they didn't do anything. Yeah, they didn't do anything. They never did anything to me. Occasionally, some guy would slap my ass or something. But there were tons of girls there too. But the reason why we would go to these parties, or like the in Halloween, we would go to what's the big one we would always go to in Halloween? The erotic exotic ball, is because you were free there. Everyone was free.
Yeah.
Like if you've come to the point in an oppressed society where you can kiss another dude, everyone, and there's a room full of people like that, the room is free. So we would go there and experience that freedom, and we would party. And we like I said, we weren't gay, my friends and I. We would go there, and there were tons of chicks there too. Anyway, when I see that flag at my kid's school and they see it means freedom and acceptance, I'm like, no, that's what the American flag means.
Yeah.
That one right there means that you just like to party in the city and suck a lot of cock and be free and just like run around naked. That one does not mean freedom. There's no connection to that. It's all that is a sex flag. And when I saw the two being conflated, I was like, and I was like, holy shit, something's not right. And the teachers believe it too, because they're scared. They're scared to think for themselves. They think like if you say that you're against homosexuality. I am not against homosexuality.
Which is the greatest sin. Well, one of the great, there's a few of them, but look, these are our sins now. Now we're in this like godless society that Nietzsche warned us about. The vacuum, you know, man is a religious animal fundamentally. And if you strip his religion away from him, he will find a new one very, very fast. So we just got this new religion. But when it's a cliche at this point, it happens so fast. The people, the Nancy Reagans and Mary Whitehouses of my youth are now the people flying the rainbow flag and all that kind of thing, demanding complete conformity of thought and action and deed, and self-flagellating and demanding fucking penance and blah, blah, blah. It's so boring at this point, but it happens so quickly.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about how it happens so quickly is, well, what that means is something else could happen very quickly. You know?
Oh, yeah. I think I heard you talked to, in 2018, you were saying that with Eric.
Quite possibly. Yeah.
And you and Jordan Peterson's conversation was fascinating. Also, you were talking about the collapse, or maybe it was Eric, but you guys were talking about how institutions have collapsed. Mm-hmm. Basically, they're not functioning anymore. And it's the individuals like Akira, like Sevan, like Rogan, who are now, we're the only places where there's authenticity. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, well, you know, when I was a kid, like if you wanted to, because I observed this from the lens of music. So when I was a kid, I was very much a student of the game, and I bought all the music magazines, or I stole all the music magazines, shoplifted all the music magazines. And, you know, I was obsessed over it. And at that point, if you wanted to make a record, you needed to like make a demo tape somehow and get that to a guy, but no one had ever listened to it because there were piles of demo tapes. So I realized it was all sort of nepotistic, and it was all gatekeepers and shit. And you had to suck off a specific guy, like Baby Spice from the Spice Girls had to like do a whole bunch of shit for them to get through, and And, you know, then you had to get, there was a couple of magazines, there was The Enemy and there was The Melody Maker. And they only had 12 covers a year of Rolling Stone. Terence Trent D'Arby, who's a black, well, half black, R&B British guy, claims that Michael Jackson and Prince ganged up to have him blackballed from the industry because there was only space on Rolling Stone for 2 black guys. Out of the 12 covers a year, there are 12 covers a year, 2 of those were for black guys, and that was Prince and Michael Jackson. So Terence Trent D'Arby says they ganged up to have him removed from the industry because he was taking up one of their slots. But then, you know, Napster.
Do you buy that?
Internet,
do you buy that?
Yeah. Napster, and all that comes along like 2000. And pretty much within 6 months, that whole system was gone. And suddenly those gatekeepers didn't have any power anymore. And it shifted. Now within music, it's, you know, there's an infinity. You can be Young Lean now as a Swedish rapper, and you can, you know, be completely ignored by the mainstream, and you can have millions of people listen to your music and have nothing to do with that world. You know, you can be Akira the Don and be completely ignored by the mainstream music industry and get more streams and such like than the people they put on the front cover of their magazines now. Like,
how many albums do you have on Spotify?
I don't even know.
Yeah, it's nuts.
I don't even know, a lot. But yeah, that's it now. So that's wonderful because all these people destroyed their trust. And that what happens to the music industry will happen to every industry. You know, it's happening to the press. It's happening to the corporate press. It's happening to the institutions of education. It's happening to the pharmaceutical and sort of so-called health industries currently. It's even happening to the movie industry because suddenly Unreal Engine exists and one person can make a movie. You suddenly, because Unreal Engine 5 exists, I don't know if you've seen this shit. People are making these like fan Star Wars films, and they look better than the shit on Disney Plus.
Oh, that's awesome. Like, I have not seen that. That is
like
awesome.
And it's this thing I've been talking about for decades, and I've been wondering when it will come into existence. So like with Unreal Engine, you can create a world, but you don't have to make the whole world. So it's like
with what engine? With what engine?
Unreal Engine 5. You can use it to make video games, movies, animations, or whatever, right? But you can say, okay, I want a Martian landscape. Loads of people have made them already, so you just download them, right? And it's a 3D thing, and it comes into your thing, and you can light it any way you want. You can add anything you want. There's loads of different like human generators that will create your actors for you, the animations, the movements, everything. Or you can green screen your own actors. You could just do it yourself. You've got a green screen here. You just put yourself in these worlds. Everything you wish for has already been created, and there's free versions of everything, right? So if you're like my son and his friends, you just make your own shit. That's all they do. You know, they're all there like making their own video games, movies, worlds, albums, or whatever. When I was little, if you wanted to do anything, make an album, you had to go to a recording studio. You know, if you want to make a movie, you got to go suck 15 dicks, just for starters. You know what I mean?
For starters.
You know what I mean? Like, that's all done now, right? So yeah, all of the previous institutions which controlled everything are all collapsing in real time, which is why they're going so fucking hard, trying to counteract that with their creepy weirdo shit right now. But it's too late.
It is too late?
I believe it is too late. The genie is out of the bottle.
How do you stay on the pulse?
How
do you know? Young, lean, Unreal 5.
Well, here's the thing. This is something I learned through music. If you make music, it's a good idea to DJ, because what DJing will do, it will force you to engage with music like you did when you were a 14-year-old. You've got to be looking for new music to play. You've got to be listening to new stuff that's coming out. You've got to be looking through your dad's record collection to find that rare gem that no one else has got, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people, when they love music when they're 14, they've all, the top YouTube comment on every music video is, oh, music was so much better when I was 14. Music was so much better in my day, because that was when they first got a fucking boner, or whatever it is, or first got finger banged around the back of Wendy's, or whatever the fuck it is, right? And they just magically associate that time with the best music. Because what happened is they got to a certain age and they stopped looking for new music like they did when they were a kid, because other life stuff came in the way. They got lazy, whatever the fuck it is. So if you stay in touch with culture, what happens is if you stop, even for a couple of weeks or something, you become a bit adrift from society. And suddenly you can't communicate as well as you could before with as many people as you could before. And soon you're just far away at sea and it all looks weird and you don't understand it. You forget what civilization is. You grow a big old fucking natty beard and you forget how to talk, and you stick a stick up your ass and you just run around drooling. You know what I mean? You become that guy. You don't want to be that guy. So all you have to do is stay engaged. You just pick a few things. So you pick a couple playlists you listen to, or you pick a couple YouTube channels that you follow, or whatever it is. It's very easy now. Find some people to follow. Twitter or something like that, right? People think like, oh, it's a hellscape. It can be a hellscape if you're following the wrong people. If you follow the right people, it's a wonderful university, or it's a cultural dojo, or whatever it is, right? You have the opportunity now to choose your peer group and choose your, you're the sum of the 5 people closest to you, right? They say that. Sir. You get to choose those now. One of mine's Jordan Peterson, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? Like,
why do people follow people they hate? Then there's people who don't like me who subscribe to my account, and I'm like, what? Or I see people in the YouTube comments, like on the regular, just throwing stones. I'm like, dude, what do you hate yourself? Why are you watching?
Yeah, that's why they're broken. I made a whole album about this with Scott Adams. Because they're broken. It's because they're broken and they're narcissistic, and they want you to suffer as much as them. That's a big basis of the whole sort of SJW world, is these people are broken, tragic, and they want everyone else to be as broken as they are. They want everyone else to be as broken and broke as they are. Right?
That's one of the cornerstones of being a liberal, by the way. You think that if you pull people from the top of the ladder down, that everything gets better. It's complete insanity.
There's not much thinking involved in that. It's just people have been told that and they parrot it. If you think that one through, it makes no fucking sense. But so there's that. So there's a whole bunch of broken, narcissistic people out there who, because of the internet, suddenly have a voice. And these are the same people who will scream at people about masks, and these are the same people who will search through people's Twitter history to find something that suddenly this week has become unacceptable so they can ruin these people's lives. These are people who wake up and think, hey, how can I ruin someone's life today because mine is already fucking ruined and I don't want to have to look in the mirror and think about how fucked up my own life is. So I just focus on fucking someone else's life up, and that will make me feel at least something. What is it Morrissey said? Morrissey said, it's so easy to laugh, it's so easy to hate, it takes guts to be gentle and kind. You know what I mean? It's fucking way more work to not be a fucking sniveling, miserable little fucker. But the sad thing about being the miserable, sniveling fucker is that ends up being more work. It's like if you don't, if
You
don't
can
eat
change
well,
in a moment, though. You know, you don't have to hate. Instead of hating Jeff Bezos and Branson,
you don't hate Jeff Bezos. Hate is a terrible, stupid thing to carry around with you. That will infect your own life. Be careful when you look into the abyss, for the abyss also looks into you, motherfucker. Or as Frank Herbert said in Dune, you become what you fight. You know.
Yes.
You gotta be. Don't fucking hate. I don't hate anybody. I have no hate in my heart. I feel bad for some of these motherfuckers. Like I said, that fucking idiot, Seth. What's his face? Some people are like, I hate that guy. Don't hate that guy. Feel sorry for that guy. He should be enjoying the glory of fatherhood. He's just rolling around smoking weed covered in Cheeto dust. It's fucking horrible for that guy. You don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be Klaus Schwab. You don't want to be fucking eating baby skulls. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be these people. So don't hate them. That just brings misery into your life. You know what I mean? That's not the opposite. Is how you win. Is you become a shining beacon of joy and love and wonder, and then that infects people around you. And then that. What is it? Fucking, don't you focus on the light. It's either light or dark, right? And if you're focusing on the dark, you'll get more dark. So focus on the light and you'll get more light.
Shiny beacon of love and wonder. You at a young age you realized that whatever you focused on was happening to you. Can you tell me that? Can you tell me that story? I think it was the world of heroin and fentanyl or something like that. I remember you were talking to just manifestation.
Young Danny Miranda. I only fucking realized that talking to young Danny Miranda. God bless that young Danny Miranda. I think it was Danny Miranda where I realized that. I was like a kid, and I was ducking off of school and going to Safeway, and I was reading Train Spotting by Irvin Welsh, which is about Scottish junkies. And I'm reading that book, and I'm doing a sales job, door-to-door sales, and I heard that regional accents do better in sales. And that book is written in phonetic Scottish. It's written like phonetically. So I taught myself this crap Scottish accent. I was using that wandering around. And then I left home and I went to London. And the first thing I do after I'm supposed to be staying with this girl, and she's like, actually, you can't stay with me. So I'm basically homeless in London. And I meet basically the cast of Train Spotting. I meet Scottish and Irish junkies who invite me to come and live in their squat with them. And I greet the guy. He speaks to me, and I just instinctively reply in this fake Scottish accent. So then I'm living with these junkies with a fake Scottish accent, pretending I'm Scottish. And he was Northern Irish, and he took me back to his squat, and his girlfriend's there, and she's Scottish. And she's like, "Oh, you're Scottish? Where are you from?" And I said, "Oh, Falkirk." Because that's where this band Airstrap I liked were from. And she goes, "Oh, my nan's from Falkirk. Whereabouts did you live?" And I went, "By the post office." And she goes, "Oh, great." So then I was stuck in that position. But I didn't realize till talking to young Danny Miranda, holy shit, I'm sat there like duck in school, reading this book about Scottish heroin addicts, thinking about it, speaking it out loud in this voice to teach myself how to speak in Scottish.
Right.
And I built that world. I created that world. I summoned into existence me living in that book, in that movie. That's what my life became. It wasn't because also in that book you had junkies, and then they're all in the music scene, and they're all having these debauched parties and having these terrible scrapes, and people are trying to kill them and all this type of stuff. All that stuff happened to me. I had a guy chasing me around with a fucking pool cue, like for fucking weeks. Like I had fucking all sorts of stuff that I can't talk about on podcasts yet.
Wow.
But and I was a kid reading books and reading them out loud. Like, it's crazy how much fucking power there is in all that stuff.
Did you ever read Carlos Castaneda's books?
No, I don't think so.
Carlos Castaneda, he wrote the first book is Don. I think the first book might be just called Don Juan. Do you see that, Caleb? Don Juan. Anyway, it's a series of 5 or 6 books. It's about a anthropology student at UCLA who basically goes down to Mexico. Oh, the teachings of Don Juan, the Yaqui Way, and he basically goes down to get his PhD studying medicinal plants in Mexico, and he comes across the sorcerer Don Juan. Anyway, I read that series of books, and without going into too much detail, my whole life turned into that book.
Yeah,
and I was probably in my early 20s, it was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. The people I started meeting. And so literally I lost touch with the Don Juan character that was in my life after reading the series of books. And I hadn't seen him in 2 years and I wanted to see him. So I picked up the book and I told 2 of my friends, hey, I'm going to pick up this book. I'm going to read it. I'm going to see if it brings this guy back. I picked up the first book. I read it again. Within a week, I fucking was just walking across a bridge somewhere. And there he was. And we rekindled.
Shit works.
It's absolutely nuts. That was the first time I was like, all right, something fucking
real
weird.
people.
Some weird shit's going on here. Or I need to buy a lotto ticket.
Well, yeah, you know, you probably could get that good to the point that would work. I got really into Hunter S. Thompson, and then my life turned into a Hunter S. Thompson book. I got into Grant Morrison's The Invisibles, which was specifically actually turned out to be about that. He was a guy who was using chaos magic to consciously create things in the world. He wrote himself as the main character, and whatever happened to the main character kept happening to him in his life. So his main character was getting tortured and got given some flesh-eating disease, and then he got it in real life and had to go.
How about Snoop Dogg's life was kind of like that? Murder Was the Case. He released that album, and then a few years later, all that shit's happening to him. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. And then the weird thing with Grant Morrison is I started reading his comics and getting really into it, and then we became friends. Like we came into each other. Turned out he was a big fan of my music, and then I was a big fan of him, and then we started. Then whenever we'd be together, all these weird fucking things would happen. That would, He like after he had the thing with the flesh-eating disease, and he realized how it was really working. He wrote the character that was based on him. Just had fun and orgies for like the next couple of years, and that's what his life became. And then he decided he wanted a wife. So he wrote his character basically meeting a woman. And in his real life, this woman came into his life, literally just came to his door and knocked on his door. And he opened his door and there's a woman there, and it's basically the same as the character in the comic book.
You know what's interesting? I toggle back and forth between, are you manifesting that or are you a fortune teller? Because it's the same ending, right?
Yeah,
you get the same results. Like, am I seeing the future? And I'm conflating it with it's
that's
mine?
it's the same as the free will argument, right?
Tell me.
And the answer is it doesn't matter. What matters is your experience, right? So you choose whichever frame best gives you the best outcome or the best experience, right? You just pick whichever operating system or frame or way of viewing it gives you the most optimal life and results. You know, because some people choosing the no free will model leaves them in a state of anxiety and horror and nausea and reduces them to, you know, death and misery. Other people adopt that frame and it makes them very powerful and able to navigate the world like superheroes. So it's just important for you to work out which frame works best for you and realize that that's all they are, is frames.
I really like that. Yeah. By the way, if anyone wants to test your free will, you can do that.
Tell me.
You can just lie down and die and see if you're capable of doing it. Are you the master of your domain? Can you lie down and stay perfectly still? Can you not itch yourself? Can you not react to every thought? Can you impose this free will on yourself to turn yourself off? I implore everyone to try it.
Well, the argument on that one is there's, you know, some people can do that sort of thing, but that doesn't go against the free will people's argument that if you could do any of that stuff, that's only because of what happened in your life around you that made you the kind of person that was able to do that.
Right. You know? The paradox of the paradox, if you're only, my experience is that the only free will you have is to do nothing. And through that, you will see, as you said, you will stare into the abyss. But to do that, you also have to embrace this other thing that I think it was Michael Singer says in Untethered Soul. You have to not be afraid of your death. Which is the same as you have to kind of be basically suicidal. Kind of. I don't have the exact words for it, but you have to not be afraid of your own death. It's a terrifying experience.
It's the core Stoic principle, right? You know, those motherfuckers used to have like skulls on their desks and all that sort of thing. You're supposed to just confront yourself with, and that leads for a rich life because then you know you're not here for that long, or that kind of thing. But it's easy for the young man to say that he isn't afraid of death. And I my whole life I was like, I'm not scared of death. I'm not worried about death, and I still feel that way. But like, you know, I know some people who are close to death, and they've changed I know, but then I've known other people who are close to death who didn't change. You would like to think that you would be one of those people, you know.
I like the fear of death. It's a great motivation.
The respect of death, perhaps, or the
Yes,
awareness of death, rather than fear of it.
Yeah, my sister will be like, "I'm not afraid to die." I'm like, "I'm fucking terrified, and I got a lot of shit to do."
Yeah.
Well, that's
exactly.
another thing too. Before I had kids, I was maybe not afraid to die. I don't want to leave my kids.
Exactly that. That was my main thing. Before I had my son, I was like, oh, I'm not scared to die. Oh, I don't care about that. I wouldn't wear a seatbelt. I'd put myself in precarious situations every day.
Yeah.
You have a kid, and it's suddenly like, oh shit, I better not die because this little motherfucker like can't stand up. He can't hold his fucking head up yet. You know what I mean? If I'm gone, kids take a long time to fucking grow, right? You have a baby rabbit, that motherfucker can do almost everything a big rabbit can do within like half an hour or some shit, right? Like humans take fucking ages. They can't even stand up for like fucking eight. Like, you know what I mean? Like humans, like they still haven't fucking finished growing when they're like fucking 20 or something. Like it's fucking crazy with humans. They are slow motherfucking creatures. So you need to hang around. You know what I mean? As a father, you need to be there. Otherwise, you will suffer the fucking consequences.
Akira, do you have any, as you hit 40, do you have any feelings about where your creativity is going? And does any part of you, maybe resent's not the right word, does any part of you think, man, why hasn't the world discovered me yet? Or,
well, it depends what you mean by world.
That you deserve, in the most crass sense, that you deserve more money, you deserve more rewards, you deserve, not deserves not the right word. What am I trying to say? Like, I'll tell you what I'm thinking. I'm 40. I'm 49. I think I'm the greatest interviewer who ever fucking walked the planet, and it's a fucking tragedy that not everyone gets a chance to sit in front of me.
Yeah,
but I say that with humility and love. And I think, but my time is running out. My time is running out, and Joe Rogan and Howard Stern are 30 years ahead of me. Say that again.
Your time isn't running out there. You've got decades and decades.
Yeah.
How long you been doing it?
6 months. No, but I'm like you. I'm like you. I've been, so the day in 1981 or 83 or whatever the year it was, when the day Apple Macintosh came out, my mom, who was only making $12,000 a year as an attorney, took me to Macy's and bought me the very first Apple computer the day it came out. It cost 1/4 of her fucking yearly income. Flash forward, and I'm a homeless man, and I have never used a computer in my fucking life, really. And the day Apple releases a laptop and Final Cut Pro, I have every fucking, I think maybe I used my girlfriend's credit card at the time to go to the student union at UC Santa Barbara and buy that computer and that software. And just loading the 10 DVDs took me 2 weeks. And I was on the phone with, whatchamacallit, computer support for every day for 2 hours, and I'm a self-taught editor. And so since I've been 25, I've been interviewing people on the street, just tons. I've interviewed thousands of people. I've been filmed movies in 100 countries, 49 states. I mean, I've been everywhere. But the podcast thing is relatively new to me. I'd say a year.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
But he was already doing it. Well, that's what you were saying. You're young. You're a baby. You got decades and decades.
But part of me is like, yeah. Part of me is like, yeah.
Hey, here's the thing. I was thinking about.
I don't want it to come across like I'm angry or I'm worried. I'm like, because that's not it. I'm having a blast. But another part of me is like, man, like I could interview. Anyway.
One thing you've got to do, if you think that way, it will never happen, and what you want will never come into your life, right?
Right.
That's like rule number one. But you have to. It's a combination, like the rap people, they do the fake it till you make it. Rick Ross talks about being a millionaire when he's not a millionaire. And then
I've interviewed Rick Ross, by the way. I've interviewed Rick Ross.
There you go. Fuck me. Pitbull. I remember Pitbull had a song and he was talking about his car and his rims, and then right at the end he's like, "I don't have that shit, but I'm going to say it until I do."
Yeah.
And that's how it works, right? And it's similarly, if you're not grateful for what you already have, you'll never get more.
Right.
And you got to realize what I realized, because I spent a long time being resentful. Like, why? And I did this, that, and the other. So much stuff in my career I did way before it was acceptable to do it, so I was always too early. You
Right.
know, I was doing triplet flows on the glitter beat like 15, 20 years before Kanye West type thing. I was like sampling punk and guitars and stuff like 20 years before Little Peep. And it's now what I was doing in 2005 is now mainstream rap, you know. But like, and I was bitter and resentful for a long time. I no longer am. I'm now happy and grateful for everything. And the more happy and grateful I am, the more comes to me. And the better everything is,
That's
and the
true.
more shiny and glittering and glorious. And what you have to realize is you're already there. You like when you're striving,
Yes.
and I need this and
Yes.
I've got to get that. It's like the systems versus goals thing. It's like you're not satisfied till you get whatever that thing is you think will make you happy, which never will. But if you're like, shit, I'm already here. Like you, I was fucking homeless. I thought that I would never meet anyone who thought like me, or I thought I would never find love. I thought that I would be getting in fights my whole life. I thought I would be in fucking poverty forever, this, that, or whatever.
You used to fight a lot?
Yeah, I used to fight every day of my life at school. And, you know, all these things. And where I am now is everything I dreamed of. So I'm already there.
Yeah.
And like you and me, we're here, we're talking on the internet. There's like fuck's sake, we like, when I was a kid, the idea that you could like broadcast to people that would have been a crazy dream. I used to make my own comic books. I used to photocopy them. You know, I used to walk around newsagents, and I'd go in the newsagent when I was like 12 or whatever, and I would like sell them like 4 or 5 comics, and they'd put them on their magazine rack. I was the happiest guy in the world when like an American comic store agreed to sell a couple of my comics, and I sent them, and I got some fan mail from somebody who bought one, you know? Now you just fucking put that shit on. But now you just put that shit on Instagram or whatever the fuck it is. You know, it's like, it's a miracle. And what we have already in our respective careers is so much more than any of our ancestors could have ever hoped for, you know? My granddad was in a concentration camp, for fuck's sake. He got taken by the fucking Russians from his school when he was a teenager, and he never saw his family again.
You're Jew? You're Jew?
No, he was Polish. Well, but he wasn't a Polish Jew. He was Roman Catholic.
Wow.
But like
the
Russians, the communists took him. So we had the communists take him and his homies from school.
Yeah.
You know, but like a couple generations later, here's me. I'm fucking Mexico making an album every month. I've got fucking hundreds of thousands of people listening, millions of people listening, whatever it is. I don't even fucking know. It's like 200,000 on Spotify or whatever the fuck listeners want. You know what I mean? It's like,
I was watching your minutes. It's crazy. I was like, watching your minutes.
Like, oh, I'm not Michael Jackson. Oh, I'm not this. Oh, I'm not that. Oh, whatever fucking accolade isn't being thrown at me or whatever. But it's like, this is already amazing. And if you just keep, and you know, if I stay true to what it is I believe and love and, you know, and execute with purity of heart and work hard as fuck, I will get what I deserve, you know? And what I deserve.
Do you know any other way? Do you know could you possibly not work hard as fuck?
No.
That's kind of the weird things when you hear about people like David Goggins or Jocko Willink, or that's like the one thing that a lot of people don't talk about. Like they're always like, you need to work hard. You need to do this. You need to be disciplined. I don't know any other way. Like I almost need someone to tell me the opposite. You need to not work hard as fuck. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, why are they always saying that? Because like, I don't know any other way than to just to grind.
That's why you are where you are, and you did what you did, and you learned what you did. And there's certain people have that. When I was DJing in Hollywood, every time I DJ'd, and it was like 5 nights a week, would be like a transcendent experience, and people would come running over going, oh my God. People would cry on the dance floor. They'd be like, oh my God, this is the best DJ set I've ever seen. And other DJs would be like a bit annoyed because they're the DJs who just, they have a playlist and they press play and whatever. But it's like, and people would be like, how do you have the energy to keep doing this? And every night, and it's like, I couldn't not have a transcendent experience on my dance floor. That would be fucking awful. I'd feel like shit. If people weren't like, you know, fucking seeing God, I fucking failed. I feel like shit. I can't not do that. I can't not work hard. I can't not keep fucking pushing.
You would be making the music even if they weren't listening. When
I was making it when they weren't listening.
Yes.
You know, and I made it for fucking years and years with fucking not listening.
My whole life. So when I was 16 years old, my mom kicked me out of her house, and I moved to and my dad had an apartment building in a crazy fucking part of town, on the Oakland Berkeley border, and he moved me into this apartment building there, and I was the only white guy in an all black neighborhood. All other one Chinese guy, the heroin dealer was a Chinese guy. Everyone else was black, and I come from like the white suburbs. And so every fucking day, every night for basically 4 years, the vast majority, 300 out of the 365 days a year, if I want to be accurate, I would get home from school, I would do whatever I needed to do. Then somewhere around 9 o'clock at night, I would go out and I'd start walking around the neighborhood. And I would just talk to people and I would make friends. And I read every book I could on every black leader. I became immersed in the whole Black Panther culture. But I was interviewing people on my own my whole life because that's all I ever wanted to do. Is that a crack pipe? How does that work? What do you do if that breaks? How come you can't? Oh, can you smoke marijuana out of it? Oh, the bowl's too small? Oh, that's weird. How much does that cost? Why is there a Chinese guy here? Is that really a dwarf prostitute? I mean, just like the whole fucking like, hey, I got, can we go get 40s? I mean, just my whole life was just immersing. And I guess it's always been like that.
Yeah.
I've just always been interviewing people. I don't know any other thing to do. That's how I get my information.
You did the thing. Not everyone does the thing. Some people don't do the thing. And that's why they get bitter and resentful because they're not doing the thing they want to do or they're supposed to do. That's the trick.
What does your wife do?
Right now, she homeschools our kids. She works on on the sort of businessier side of stuff. She's more detail oriented. Is that the word? She's more detail oriented than I am. We're very, very balanced. She's like stuff that I'm not good at, she's good at, and vice versa. You know what I mean?
And what time is it there?
It's 11:41.
So when you get off of this, will you then go to her and like take I'm assuming she's with the kid?
Yeah, they're at the vet. So after I get off this, I'll go see those. I'll go hang out with the kid a bit. I've got a gig this afternoon, so I need to prepare for that and set up that stuff. That's in here. That's a streaming thing for the high experience guys. And then I'll go hang out with them some more. Maybe take the kids to the beach.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get off with you. And then my wife's with the kids. So my wife schooled them this morning, and then the jiu-jitsu instructor comes over, and they're rolling right now.
You got to get. Oh, okay. He goes to jiu-jitsu 3 days a week, but he goes to a.
Yeah. Place. We do that. We do that too. We just do it.
Do you have a guy come to you? That's
both.
Nice.
Yeah, both. Nice. They have to be able. Akira, they have to be able to defend their pussy.
That's right. It's very, very important because if you do
or their dick, if they end up with dick, but they got to be able to defend something, whatever they want. That other people want, they got to be able to defend it.
You know the fucking vibe. Strong times, weak men, all that shit.
But then, so as soon as I get off with you, you're right. It's interesting because my wife does the same thing. She's the homeschooling shit. She does all that shit. Like if my kids would, and then I don't even know what they would know if they only had me. But then now I'm going to take them to the beach. It's crazy.
Yeah,
we have kind of the same thing.
Exactly. And then my wife will be working on we've got this vinyl, JVP Wave, Alan Watts, a bunch of vinyl that we've spent the past year making happen. We did an Indiegogo campaign this time last year to fund production of a couple of albums on vinyl, and they're finally arriving. She's been dealing with that whole thing for like the whole year. Like the fucking supply chain shit was affecting vinyl quite early. So she's just been fucking on that for like a year. So she'll be dealing with that stuff and a bunch of other shit that I'm happy that I don't have to do.
Do you WhatsApp?
Mm-hmm. Everyone in Mexico WhatsApps. That's what everyone uses. So if you're like a Zuckerberg purist, then it's difficult. If you're like, I don't fuck with the Zuck at all, it's difficult to communicate with people in Mexico. Everyone uses WhatsApp. The dentist uses WhatsApp. Fucking doctors.
Oh, but do you or don't you?
Yeah, I use it.
You do? Okay. Because the only way I had to communicate with you is through email. Now that you know me, would you communicate with me through WhatsApp?
Yeah, I'll communicate with you for WhatsApp. We can send each other motivational gifts.
I just started using WhatsApp because there's a bunch of people over across the ocean that I've been interviewing. All right. Hey,
yeah, it's real good for that.
Eric says, I learned a lot this morning. Apparently daisy chain is not what I thought it was. Yeah. Me too.
That's what's up.
People spreading a meaning wave from coast to coast. Yeah, baby.
Real shit.
Thank you. I'm going to send you my phone number. I feel like we have a lot of unfinished fun. To share with each other.
How do you think about these sorts of conversations? Like any section of it could, any like fucking little 3 minute section could in itself be. Yeah, there you go. Very nice. That's delightful.
I wasn't gonna let you do that by yourself.
No, thanks. That would be uncouth.
Thank you, Caleb. Oh, brother, you're as wonderful as I thought you would be. Thank you for sharing the love. The quote from the entire show should be I wrote it down.
You're taking notes like a fucking scholar.
Oh yeah, but my writing so shiny beacon of love, a shiny beacon of love that manifests a shiny beacon of love and wonder in the world. We all should be a shiny beacon of love of.
See, you are still a hippie fuck.
Yeah, I know. I am.
That's the fucking thing. I told
you. It breaks my heart what they've done. It breaks my heart what they've done.
Yeah, I'm still the fucking same as I was. I'm still fundamentally the same principles, etc., that I was when I was a kid. Things shifted around. You know what I mean? That's why you can't be aligning yourself to teams and shit like that or ideologies, because you can become prisoners of them. And if they then decide they're going to shift them off to do some fucked up, creepy shit, you just go along with it unthinkingly.
Yeah.
You know, so it's very, very important to be Groucho Marx and don't be joining no fucking clubs that would have you as a member, because they traps. There's fucking traps. And stay away from traps.
Groucho.